Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Let's just dive right in. My name is Artley, and I'm going to be your guide today. Now, right off the bat, I need to tell you a little secret about myself. I am not an English teacher. Seriously. In fact, the very idea of teaching used to absolutely terrify me. But I actually overcame my fear of teaching English by effortlessly learning English myself. It turns out we can just sharpen our minds through the natural flow of write, read, speak, and listen. That's it. Today, we're kicking off a 21-day journey of inner awareness, and we're going to see how mastering our inner world is exactly what allows us to effortlessly master new skills.
You know, when we think about learning something new, we usually picture this massive grind, right? Staring at textbooks, stressing out. But the source material for today completely flips that idea on its head. It shows us that real learning doesn't need to be forced. If you just show up with a relaxed, open heart, sharpening your mind through writing, reading, speaking, and listening becomes this joyful, natural process. Honestly, the sages say this kind of learning is so effortless that it can literally sink in even if you fall asleep while listening. The whole secret is just having a sense of ease.
Okay, so to really get this effortless approach, the teachers give us a great visual. Imagine you're in a little boat on a river, trying to get from point A to point B. It begs the question, are we rowing our boats against the current of life? I mean, think about it for a second. When you're trying to learn a language or reach any goal, does it feel like a constant struggle? Like you are just endlessly wrestling with the universe to get what you want?
Because when we fight those natural laws, when we row against the current, man, it is exhausting. You're constantly steering, pushing, forcing yourself to study or work. And the second you take a break, you drift backwards. But if you just flow with the current and align with those unseen principles, life gets so much easier. Your efforts literally multiply. You're supported instead of resisted, and you just glide forward.
So if flowing is so great, why do we constantly insist on rowing against the current? Well, the teachings point to this thing called the inner cocoon. It's not a physical wall, obviously, but it's this incredibly powerful shell made of self-limiting beliefs and skewed perceptions. Even when we really want to flow effortlessly, most of us are wrapped up in this heavy cocoon that keeps us totally stuck and prevents us from taking that next big step in our lives.
The material actually breaks this cocoon down into 6 silent layers that hold us back. First up, diminishing yourself. You know, that quiet little voice saying you're just ordinary. Second is the paralyzing fear of failure. Third is the fear of criticism, like being terrified someone's going to judge your accent when you try to speak English. Fourth is this illusion of lacking conditions, basically telling yourself you don't have the time or the resources yet. Fifth is lacking understanding, feeling like you don't know enough grammar to even start. And finally, having no future vision. These 6 barriers make us shrink back way before we even try to act.
To break free from all that, think about a simple egg. If an egg is broken by force from the outside, it just becomes food. It's a forced temporary change caused by external pressure, kind of like cramming for a test in a total panic. But if that shell breaks from the inside out, it becomes life. True transformation can't be forced by outside suffering. To really take flight, we have to break our own chains from the inside out, driven by genuine self-love and curiosity. Which brings us to a really big reflection for our journey. When you're feeling stuck inside that cocoon, when you're full of fear or dealing with emotional pain, what do you actually do? Do you shine a light inward, or do you spend all your energy trying to fight the dark? Most of us treat our struggles, even just the struggle of learning a new skill, like this enemy we have to wrestle to the ground. But the more we try to fight the shadow, the longer it sticks around.
And that introduces a crucial concept from the teachings, the principle of light. It's this natural law that says light and darkness literally cannot exist in the same space. Think about a dark room. Even a toddler knows you don't walk in there and try to scoop the darkness out with your hands, right? You don't fight it. You just flip the switch. The second light enters, the dark effortlessly dissolves. We have to apply this to our inner world. Instead of constantly trying to fix our pain or fight our fears, we simply need to bring in something brighter.
Let's look at how this builds into the bigger structure of our lives. The sages use this concept of the house of life. There are 4 main dimensions we have to build and master. Step 1 is the foundation, our inner self. Step 2 is the left pillar, health. Step 3 is the right pillar, relationships. And step 4, acting like the roof over everything, is finance. If you can learn to master these 4 dimensions, you can master your entire life. But here's the catch. These pillars are totally interwoven. They aren't just isolated boxes. If your inner self is shaken up by anger or fear, that immediately strains your relationships and clouds your financial decisions.
If your health dips, your spirit gets tired, you can't show up for your family, and your ability to earn drops. Every single piece affects the whole shebang. When even one pillar starts to wobble, the entire structure feels the heavy weight of that imbalance.
For way too long, we've just been scrambling around, frantically trying to patch up whichever part of the house is currently cracking. But remember the principle of light. We have to stop pulling at the darkness. If we stop obsessing over how to fix isolated problems, a much more powerful question pops up. What kind of wealth are we actually here to build? If we're supposed to be lamps in the dark, what does that light actually look like?
Well, the sources totally challenge our normal idea of wealth. We usually just think of cash and assets, right? Material wealth. But true wealth is way broader than that. I mean, what good is all the money in the world if your body is constantly in pain? So physical health is a huge form of wealth. Competence, your mindset, and the skills you effortlessly learn, that's vital wealth. And lastly, what if someone is rich and healthy, but uses it to hurt people? Wealth without heart is dangerous. That's why noble virtue, our integrity and kindness, is absolutely crucial.
All of this perfectly sets up the ultimate blueprint for our house of life. Right in the center sits this amazing 7-part foundation. These are the 7 lamps we need to light. We cultivate wisdom. We nurture our inner state. We grow in character. We embody virtue. We develop competence. We care for our physical well-being, and we steward our material abundance. When you focus on lighting these 7 specific lamps, all those shadows and problems in the corners of your house, they just naturally, effortlessly fade away.
And that leads us to this massive perspective shift from the sages. Instead of solving problems, we build holistic wealth. This is literally the ultimate way of light. Instead of draining your precious energy fighting the dark, battling your fears, or stressing out over a crack in one of your pillars, you just shift your focus. You illuminate your inner world. You build holistic wealth. You just flip the switch.
So my friends, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. Which of your 7 inner lamps are you going to choose to light first today? Because whether you're trying to master English through joyful, effortless practice, or you're just trying to break out of that inner cocoon, you don't have to fight the current anymore. You don't have to wait for suffering to force you to change. You can choose to transform right now, fueled by love, by just taking one effortless step toward the light. Again, my name is Artley, and it has been an absolute joy guiding you today. Keep shining your light, and I'll catch you next time.